Craigslist is one of the most boring websites on the internet. No flashy colors, no videos, no personality, just text, listings, and people trying to get rid of things they don't need anymore. Millions of Americans use it every single day without a second thought. Furniture, electronics, rooms for rent, normal stuff. But what most people don't realize is that Craigslist doesn't just sell items. Sometimes it sells access to your name, your address, your routine. And once someone has that, you don't get to decide what they do with it. Tonight, I'm going to tell you 3 true style stories. The first one is disturbing. The second one is deeply unsettling. And by the time you reach the third, you'll realize just how close ordinary people come to extreme violence without ever knowing it. Story 1. The man who came back. I was getting ready to move out. Nothing dramatic. Just one of those quiet transitions in life. Sorting through things. Deciding what to keep, what to throw away, and what to sell. That's when I found my old motor tools. A power drill, a matching tool set, good quality, barely used. Still worked perfectly. I'd switched to battery-powered tools months earlier, so these had just been sitting there. Selling them felt harmless. I took a few pictures, wrote a simple Craigslist listing, and priced everything at $80. Honestly, it was a good deal. Within an hour, I had 2 responses. One tried to lowball me immediately. $50. I politely declined. The second message was different, short, direct, confident. He said he wanted them that same night for the full price. I told him 5 o'clock would work. Now I had one rule when selling things online. I never let anyone inside my house, ever. I'd always meet people in the driveway, in full view of the street. It was a busy neighborhood, plenty of traffic, plenty of eyes. Nothing bad could really happen out in the open. At least, that's what I believed. I planned to take the tools outside a little before 5 and wait for him, but at around 4:30, there was a knock at my door. That alone made my stomach tighten. I looked through the window and saw a man standing there. A red car was already parked in my driveway. He was early. I opened the door just a crack and asked who he was. He smiled and said he was here for the tools, admitted he got excited and showed up ahead of time. I told him to wait in his car. I wasn't ready yet. There was a pause. Not long, but long enough to feel wrong. Then he turned and walked away. I gathered the tools and met him at the top of the driveway. He tested everything, plugged them in, nodded. Then he looked at me and said, "How about 20? I actually laughed a little. Not because it was funny, but because it caught me off guard. He had already agreed to 80. I told him I could maybe go a little lower, but not that low. Without saying a word, he set the drill down. Didn't look at me. Just turned around, got in his car, and drove away. I stood there confused, annoyed, feeling like I'd just wasted my time. I brought the tools back inside and tried to shake it off. It was just an inconvenience, that's all. A couple of hours later, I walked past my front window, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw a red car, parked down the street, 3 houses away. My heart slowed. I stared at it, trying to convince myself it wasn't the same one. The car was empty, no movement, no lights. I told myself it was a coincidence. An hour passed. I was making food, half watching TV, when there was another knock at the door. This time, I didn't answer. 30 seconds later, another knock. Then a voice. "Hey, it's me. I decided I'll take the tools. I brought the money." Something inside me went cold. The car, the timing, the persistence. I didn't respond. I called the police and told them everything. The man kept talking through the door, calm, patient, pretending this was normal. Then suddenly, silence. I stood there staring at the door. A minute passed, then another. I moved slowly toward the window near the front door. And that's when something slammed into the side of my house. Hard. Leaves rustled. Footsteps ran. I looked out just in time to see him limping back to his car. The police arrived seconds later and stopped him before he could leave. What they told me afterward still makes my hands shake. He had a knife. He'd tried to climb a tree beside my house and jump onto the roof. He missed, smashed into the side of the house and injured his leg. The roof he was aiming for sat just below my second-story window, a window I had left unlocked. If he hadn't missed, I don't sell things on Craigslist anymore, and I lock every window now, even the ones that seem unreachable. Story 2. The locked door. I found the room through Craigslist. I needed somewhere cheap, quiet, and temporary. The owner, Aaron, seemed perfect. Same age, friendly, normal. We talked for days before I moved in. The house was about 30 minutes outside town, surrounded by trees with a long driveway leading away from the road. The outside was old, really old, at least 100 years, but the inside was spotless, renovated, modern. It felt safe. The first few days were great. Aaron worked in town, I worked from home. Most of the time, I had the house to myself, almost the whole house. There was one door that was always locked. He never mentioned it. I didn't ask. But at night, I started hearing things. Footsteps. Then one night, I heard his bedroom door open. He didn't walk right away, just stood there. Then slow steps down the hallway. He stopped outside my door. The floor creaked. Something pressed softly against it. He stood there for a long time. Then he walked away, not back to his room, but toward the locked door. This became a pattern. Every night. He never slept. One night, I followed him. I caught him opening the locked door. When I asked him why, he ran. Straight out the back door and into the woods. I never saw him again. Behind that door was a basement. Dark, rotting, unfinished. I packed my things and left that same night. Years later, I looked up the house. It had been abandoned, torn down. The article mentioned criminal findings, no details. Aaron never came back. Story 3. The wrong man answered the door. I had just moved into a small house. I needed a TV. Money was tight. Craigslist again. I found an old flat screen listed cheap. The seller, Mitch, was overly enthusiastic. He even sent a Google Calendar invite. That felt strange. I went anyway. It was dark when I arrived. All the lights were on. The front door was already open. I heard something fall inside. Every instinct told me to leave. But then a man appeared. Not Mitch. Cold. Quiet. I handed him the money. He took it, then shoved me out the door and slammed it shut. I called the police. They found Mitch unconscious in the kitchen. The man I met wasn't the seller. He was another buyer. He had beaten Mitch minutes before I arrived. I was almost next. Craigslist isn't evil. People are. Addresses are invitations. Trust is a weapon. And the scariest part, none of them broke any rules.